Prologue. May 1853, London, England. Vincent Germaine, 11th Marquess of Haworth, 9th Duke of Raeburn, paced the hallway outside his wife's bedroom. Sweat beaded on his forehead, then ran down his face and into his eyes. He wanted to run, but there was nowhere for him to go, no place where her agonizing moans would not follow him. He clenched his fists and walked to the end of the hall, his carriage every inch a duke's, even though inside he hardly felt like one. This was God's way of teaching mortal man the limits of his control. God's way of teaching man humility when he became too self-assured and self-reliant. And tonight, God had decided the Duke of Raeburn needed to be shown how powerless he truly was. He wanted to rail to the heavens, rant against God for his unfairness. Instead, he offered up another prayer. All through the night he had bartered, offering God every earthly possession he owned, even his own life. But his prayers had gone unanswered. For the second time in his life, Vincent Germaine was being brought to his knees. He was one of the wealthiest, most influential men in all of England, yet tonight he was as helpless as a lowly street beggar. From the moment he had found out his wife was going to have a child, he had prayed that this time the outcome would be different. Prayed that this time his wife would be delivered safely, and he would have an heir to carry on the great Raeburn name. He even promised God that if he brought his wife and the babe through this, he would never chance planting his seed in her again. But his prayers had been for naught. It had been nearly 2 days, and she still hadn't been delivered of the babe. 2 days, and he knew Angeline would not live much longer if she did not soon give over the babe the doctor said was too large for her. He shoved himself away from the wall, then froze when another gut-wrenching moan rent the air. Guilt and regret threatened to suffocate him. Fear more terrifying than he could withstand. She was weakening. Would that he could ease her pain. Would that the risk was not so great to get an heir. Would that he had never planted his seed in her womb. Regrets born of desperation. He swiped his hand over his sweating brow, then turned an anxious glance toward her room when the door opened. His heart thundered in his chest. A maid rushed out, her arms laden with blood-soaked linen. Tears ran down her ashen face. Her gaze carried a helplessness he'd seen from his staff on a night similar to this 5 years earlier. The night his first wife had died trying to give birth to their babe. Another muffled moan echoed from behind the door. Angeline's cries were weaker now, filled with even more pain and despair. Vincent strode with determined steps toward the room where his wife lay struggling to give birth to his child. He would not allow her to die. He'd lost one wife trying to give him an heir. He couldn't live with himself if he was responsible for another woman's death. He opened the door and entered. His gaze moved to where she lay in the bed, and his heart dropped to the pit of his stomach. He slowly made his way toward her. "You should not have come, Your Grace," Angeline whispered, her weak voice filled with pain. He sucked in a deep breath that broadened his already massive shoulders. "I am your husband. This is exactly where I should be." Angeline attempted a smile. His heart twisted in his chest as part of him died. He reached for her hand and held it. "I've come to tell you I have waited long enough. I demand you cease this procrastination and give birth to our babe." She released a trembling shudder. "So like you to make demands of matters you cannot control,"